Hello, my name is Dr. Dan Wedding, and in this video series I will be covering the Visual Basic computer programming language. The videos in this series will always have the same naming convention. They will start with Dr. Wedding, followed by VB and a 2-digit number, and lastly a brief description of the video. This is Dr. Wedding VB01 Introduction. This naming convention should help you keep track of where you are in this series and help you find videos you've already watched. This introductory video is different from the rest of the videos in this series because it is an introduction and will cover ancillary information in a PowerPoint format. The remaining videos in this series will explain how to write specific code or cover a new topic while every step is being thoroughly explained. The remainder of this video will cover information such as why should you learn VB, the definition of a GUI and an HMI. It will cover an outline of some of the topics covered in this series and what happens when VB updates. I will also go over a studying method that I used when I was in engineering school that may help you learn this information better. Finally, there will be a standard disclaimer that will be at the end of every video. If this information is not interesting to you, or you're already familiar with programming, or you just want to jump to installing the software, then feel free to advance to Dr. Wedding VB02 at this time. However, if you're new to programming, you may wish to watch the remainder of this video. Now you may be wondering, why should I learn VB? Well, VB is very powerful and very easy to learn. VB uses a very familiar Graphical User Interface, or a GUI. The familiar Graphical User Interface includes buttons, checkboxes, radio buttons, menus, forms, pop-ups, and many more. When you write a program with a GUI, it can be used as a human-machine interface or an HMI. This means you can have a human interface to a computer program, or a human can interface to a programmable logic controller, or a human can interface to a microcontroller such as an Arduino or a pickaxe. Also, the topics that are covered can be applied to many other languages. Variables, loops, if statements, arrays, subroutines, and functions are found in all sorts of languages such as C, C#, Java, Python, and the like. Lastly, it's free. All you need to do is watch the videos and download the free software and follow along. This is an outline of the video series as it will be presented. First, we'll talk about installation. The videos will start with how to download, install, and use the software that you will need to learn how to program using Visual Basic. Next, we'll cover the basics. This is where you'll learn how to add objects, change properties, make and use variables, do simple error checking, and basic math. The intermediate topics are covered next. This is where you're going to learn how to make and use an if statement, loops, subroutines, and one-dimensional arrays. Next, the advanced topics will be covered. This is where you're going to learn how to set up a state machine, embed objects, use 2D arrays, create classes, and to use an array of classes. Finally, we're going to advance to hardware. This is where you're going to learn how to set up timers, use external data files, open up COM ports, and interface to microcontrollers such as a pickaxe and an Arduino. I will be using Visual Studio 2022 in this series, and as this video ages, new versions of Visual Studio will be released. You may be wondering, what will happen when VB updates? Well, the same thing that happens when Word or Excel updates. Nothing. When Word or any other product updates, you do not need to rewrite all of your documents. There may be interface changes or new features, but nothing really changes. The new software will still be able to open the files you've created with the old versions, and the same is true with Visual Basic. Many things do not change and have not changed for decades. The use and creation of variables, arrays, loops, if statements, and the like have not changed. You are learning many universal concepts. There are many topics and concepts that are common to most, if not all, computer languages. Many of these are the same as we have previously discussed: variables, arrays, loops, if statements, math, subroutines. Therefore, if you understand them in Visual Basic 2022, you will understand these concepts into the future. I have a suggested learning method. It is one I've used throughout my career. This will work hopefully for you also. It can be used whether you're taking a course online, in the classroom, whether it's programming or not programming. The first thing you want to do is watch the videos in order, and that could also mean listening to the lecture and actually going to class. While you're in class or while you're watching the videos, you're going to want to take notes to keep track of the important topics, but consider these rough notes. When you're done with the video or the class, you should spend 15 or 20 minutes and write a one-page summary for each important topic. My method was a title at the top of the page, a brief description of what the page covers, and then an explanation of how to do the task. The pages that followed this summary would be examples. These examples could be what was covered in the class or the video, examples from your textbook, or more importantly, a small example that you came up with by yourself. You should only advance after you really understand the current video or class lecture. Here is an example. The title of this page is 4-band resistor color codes. It then goes over a description of what a 4-band resistor color code is and why they exist. Next, there's an explanation. The explanation can include anything you want: graphs, equations, charts, whatever. The next page will be examples. This is where solved examples from the textbook, the lecture notes, or anything you came up with would be. If you do this, first of all, it forces your brain to organize your thoughts. It also gives you a quick reference if you need to look back at the information while studying for a test. Some of the terms covered in this video include GUI, which stands for the Graphical User Interface, and HMI, which stands for Human Machine Interface. These two terms are very close. A GUI is used to interface to software, while an HMI is used to interface with hardware. If you have ever had a difficult time in a computer programming class, or if this is the first time you're trying to learn a computer language, then I hope these videos will help you truly learn this information, and it will help you for a lifetime. If you find these videos useful, please like and subscribe. It is the only way I can continue to make these videos.